feel free to introduce yourself, and also kindly you can mute your microphone so that you can hear our presenters very well, and there will be also an opportunity to ask questions and for discussion later on. So basically, this is the regional academic webinar. It's a platform for bringing together different academicians and practitioners in adult education for collaboration and also to discuss different areas where they can work together, collaborative in terms of research, which are beneficial to our community. So if we look back, last year we had an adult education conference in South Africa in October, where one of the outcomes is that each region should identify different thematic areas of interest, meaning that these areas that we want to work on, maybe to do more research on it, that are relevant to our specific region. So from this outcome, different thematic areas were identified and listed. But after this conference, we had another meeting this year where the whole region, the African region in general, agreed that we should be more focused and have distribute now these thematic areas to be focused more in the regional level. So meaning that for example, East Africa and South Africa will be focusing that we identify our theme, and from this theme, we'll be discussing different themes, the topics, and how to move forward. So basically, from this discussion, three thematic areas were identified, where we had the skills and development for sustainable livelihoods. This was one of the themes. And another theme was civic education and active citizenship, which was identified. And the third one and the final was transformative research with communities, meaning doing research that are beneficial or solving our community problems. So from these thematic areas, we are going to be doing, let us say, a collaborative way where each region, from each region, one country will be leading us in different discussions along this theme. So in Privilege, Kenya will be starting on this an open forum for the first theme, which will be skill development and sustainable livelihoods, where we from there we move on for another theme where another country will also take lead and participate as well in this discussion. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Salome from Kenya, Salome West, who is the Deputy Director for Adult Education and Continuing Education in Nairobi County. So Salome will be taking us today in our discussion in this specific theme. So Salome, you're kindly welcome.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yes.
I'm sorry I'm unable to have my video work, and I'm asking you project for me from your side as I handle this. I appreciate that. I'll briefly go through our presentation. Let's go to slide 2 because everybody knows we are going to talk about teaching financial literacy in community learning centers. Next. We look at this from where we started from Ale. Ale started as adult education in Kenya in 1979, and it came up because of the problems the country was facing at that time, which you were supposed to handle things to do with poverty, illiteracy, and disease. And when you talk about poverty, that brings in the issue of financial literacy as a tool that will bridge the socioeconomic gaps. And this is aligned in the SDG 4, SDG 8, Agenda 2063 for Africa, that's AU, and the Marrakech framework. We shall look at those out there. It became so serious after COVID-19 that very many people were affected, and in the rural and urban areas. And those who were in urban areas were badly affected. So we really needed to handle this financial literacy bit because many of our learners were going through mental breakdown because of hard economic times. Next. And in Nairobi, the funny thing about Nairobi, you find that many of our centers, Nairobi does not have a public CLC because of something. So we use our adult learning centers to offer the financial literacy, while in other parts of the country they use both community learning centers and learning centers, other learning centers in the offering of financial literacy plus other schools. And Nairobi alone has a total of about 189 learning centers that are registered and known, but I believe there are more because we even have CBOs and private providers who are offering this, and even churches. Next. In other parts of the country, I've already said they are using the same. And basically, Nairobi tries to address the following gaps in financial literacy. We address the low financial knowledge among out-of-school youth and adults. And we all know globally youth are having the highest population in the world. So they really need to have these financial skills. We also have limited access to formal banking and credit because the economy has become so tough on those people who do not even have a stable income, because even those who have stable income are also still facing challenges. We also have high vulnerability, poverty cycles that were brought when businesses were closed down during the COVID-19. And then we also have gender and rural urban disparities in financial access. Next. Now we will be looking at the frameworks that support this this financial literacy, because for us to provide this literacy, we are not doing it alone, but we are doing it with other stakeholders. And so we know that the SDG4, which talks about increased skills among youth and adults, and those skills, the financial literacy is very important, the financial skills. We will look at the SDG 4.6, where we have the adult literacy and numeracy to build on those foundational skills. We are talking about promoting productive employment, economic growth for youths. Next. You also know that SDG 1 talks about financial literacy, which contributes to poverty eradication through economic empowerment and savings. The other frameworks, you know, the African Union Agenda 2063, it has aspiration 1 and 2, where we are talking about prosperous Africa with citizens skilled financial and entrepreneurial skills. I just want to skim through those ones because I know you know them. Next. We also have the Marrakech framework, which is very strong, and it talks about countries committing themselves to promote lifelong learning with relevant skills for work and sustainable livelihoods. And that will involve also integrating financial literacy into adult learning and education curriculum, especially for those marginalized groups. Next. We also have now our Vision 2030, Kenya's Vision 2030, and the bottom-up economic approach, transformative approach, which looks at the plans to harmonize education statutes into comprehensive education training and research, and also to strengthen the legal and institutional framework for financial literacy. Next. And we can see from, if we look at what Kenya is doing, we find that there is that need for financial literacy. Why? There's the need for financial literacy will always empower knowledge to enable those personal or those learners, either at personal level or at family level, to make decisions about finances, because any family that is struggling must make key decisions on finances in order to stay stable. It will also help have equip the learners with skills to manage, to start and manage small businesses and use credit wisely, and also plan ahead to avoid the mental breakdown many families have been facing. There is also the aspect of sustainable livelihoods, where we contribute to poverty reduction and economic inclusion when people are financially empowered. You know, poverty always tries to make one look as if you're so useless. And then there's the community impact, whereby we strengthen communities, stability, and reduce dependency, so that we have communities that are self-sustaining. Next, please. And so we shall now look at organizations that help us offer financial literacy. In Kenya, we have some local banks that assist us do this. We have Equity Bank, which always comes, when we request them, they come on board to help us with staff from their bank to come and teach youth and entrepreneurship training on how to use money, how to borrow loans, and how to invest. Family Bank is also doing the same. Family Bank is also doing the same in that aspect, whereby they offer learning to these community people at their level. KCB Bank has also come in with business incubation and empowerment for women, and also Kenya Bankers Association has come up with a plan which is called Chora Plan. Chora Plan is like making a plan which will assist you to use your finances well, so that you're able to do that. So all these are banking organizations. And apart from that, next, we have NGOs and CBOs that offer financial literacy. And one key one is FIDA International, in collaboration with Finnish
Yeah, I don't know. Seems to be difficulty with the sound at the moment.
I think.
Next, we have sampled eagers that led to the need of this. I just want to go next until those are just eagers. You can see how they make these are for classes in early centers. They make these articles and they need to sell them. Next, we have now a sample of learners who have gone ahead. I hope we are at the same slide. We have a sample of learners who have gone ahead. Just move. Next. I can. It's hanging. Yes, those are the eagers I'm talking about. Next. Yeah, you can see the products that are being produced by our learners. Then go to next. Then those are sampled. At least I sampled 2 of our learners who started these businesses. Now they are no longer doing it as a class, but they are doing it as individuals. Next. So we also looking at core financial topics that we handle in this core literacy financial topics that we handle. We talk about savings and table banking, how people can save money safely, how they can join groups and pool funds together. Instead of borrowing loans from institutions, they can put their monies together and give each other loans and build businesses. And it also helps in building trust and access money easier with the less stringent rules. We also talk about managing money for self-reliance, how to make a budget, stick to it, and use it. Next. We also talk about managing both home and businesses' money wisely, so that we avoid family breakages that have been brought because of the scarce money. We also talk about starting and growing small businesses. You learn how to do a small business, keep track of the expenses and the sales and the prices of the products, and compete in the market, especially for those who are now making products that are supposed to be sold. Next. And then the most sought up topics for our learners at the moment are those village savings and loans, leadership and record keeping, and resource mobilization, because many groups were breaking because members did not know how to share the money or how to give loans and how to handle those defaulters. Budgeting and money management, saving and investments, credit, and all those that you can see there, up to digital finance using money, mobile money, and e-banking, because there are very many apps that are lending people money, but they are not, the people are not repaying. There's a lot of defaulting, or even you find that some members borrow the money using other members' phones without them knowing. So you find you're being followed to pay for a loan that you did not know. So at this juncture, we are showing them how to use their mobile phones privately and avoid being cheated or losing money. Next. So that's a sample of training going on for the youths. That is at financial training by Saidika CBO. Next. That is a training for the top photo is an adult learning center being taught about village savings and loans, and below is instructors for two sub-counties, that is Kasarani and Dagoretti, being trained on financial literacy by FIDA International and Finnish Mission in Kenya. Next. Those are learners from Hashad Center who are being taught how to, they are the ones who produce the products. You saw the toilet products and all that, and they were being taught how to package and market them online. That is a training going on. Let's go on. Next. And the top photo is by Uwepa, where Uwepa was training the Tumaini Lakesho adult learners, who are made up of 3/4 of that class is made up of the men, and they wanted to know how to manage finances because women were having problems in managing family finances. And below we have youths being taught how to manage finances. That is Youth Awake in Madare, who are being trained on skills about financial literacy. Next. How do we offer this? We have a hybrid mode depending on the level of our learners. We can use a physical, where you've seen we have a teacher teaching direct, an instructor teaching direct, and we also have IT for the youths who are techno savvy, where we have them having modules being delivered online by various banking institutions or CBOs, and also AI. Next. And then we also have interactive discussions and real life examples, where we have role play, the showcase stories, those who have succeeded and how they went about it. We also have workshops in like next month, we are having a workshop with the team that was trained in Dagoretti to see how they have gone. We have field visits with them and all that. And we also have community saving groups in groups with social services, where we are looking at how they are managing their finances and mitigating the gaps. We also have women groups who have micro-led businesses. After early training, we'll be visiting them to see how they are performing. Next. Is it hanging? Next. Hello? Hello? Yeah. So what are the challenges we are facing? Despite making some headway, we still have challenges in low awareness and engagement. People are not having trust on money issues because of the many mobile phone issues that have led into that. There's also low literacy and numerous skills among our learners. We have the digital divides and poor trainer capacity. Our instructors are not well trained, so we desire that we'll have a way that they are trained. We have economic hardships and youths borrowing risks, where they just borrow money on mobile apps and causing people to be followed. There's lack of intense support from key players in financial institutions, and there's also cultural resistance. Next. We can see it continues that to lack of training, inadequate and ill-prepared instructors, digital era challenges, where many apps have led into fraudulent. They lent money without training these people. Limited funding for community programs. You have cyberbullying. Somebody has borrowed and you're being chased and you're not even aware until you're taken to CRB, that is Credit Reference Bureau, and you cannot borrow any money. And that next. We have suggested solutions to the same, where we are saying that the community-centered outreach and local curriculum should be developed in the local languages so that we reach vast majority. We also need those digital tools and mobile financial education simplified for the aged to be able to learn and utilize it, because the youth are so fast in using them and causing these people to suffer. We also need to have capacity building. We need youth focus and gender inclusive strategies so that we build that trust. We need to expand support and partnerships and develop a policy on financial literacy in all financial institutions so that their money, when it's being lent out, it's not going to go to waste or there is a lot of default. Next. And our short-term solutions for these are accessible learning spaces for marginalized communities. Like in Nairobi, we don't have a public community learning center, so we do it in our classes, and some classes are very far. But if you had a space where you have a public community learning center, you could have all these, even the aged come to learn together with the youth so that they learn. Then there's that need for peer-to-peer support and group savings, where we need to build more trust, because some members borrow alone as a group and some default. We need to develop skills for self-employment, networking and market linkages, and build capacity for instructors on basic financial literacy. Next. You can see the future of financial literacy in early is very bright. We have that key players in the future of early. Learners thrive well where there is something on to improve their lives. So if we can have this realized into, if we can have this realized in our centers, and we have people who are able to have tangible results, it is something that is doable. We can also tap into the digital and mobile expansion to come on board. We customize and localize the content so that it can reach many people. We have community financial ecosystems in areas whereby instead of looking for a loan from a bigger financial institution, if we have local circles around the community, it can help. And also, we should also have data to be able to monitor exactly what is happening. Next. And then finally, that is our call for support. We strengthen CLCs through inclusive ALE and also establish public CLCs. And I think the next slide is next. Thank you. That is all. Any questions?
Thank you, Salome, for such an interesting presentation. So, if there be any question, please raise your hand, or you can just add it in the chat. Feel free to add any questions or comments, addition. Please feel free to share. Or if there is no any further question, then we can proceed with another presentation from Johnson Shisanya. Please, you are kindly welcome as well to present.
Thank you. Maybe we can request if I can be able to, if my slides can be able to be shared. Good. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, very good.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Johnston Shisanya. I'm happy to be here to share a few insights on what we are looking at in terms of youth livelihood beyond the formal sector. My presentation will be very brief, and I know I have a number of young people I have engaged with who are also listening in, and they would be able to share some insights. So that's where we will begin. So the main objective for me is to have an engagement and enabling space for co-creating ideas and insights for youth livelihood beyond formal sector, because this kind of engagement will help to see where we are and the kind of things and thinking that we need, both in the academic sector and in the practical space. Let's move to the next slide, please. So why do we need innovative and practical approaches to youth livelihood beyond the formal sector? I'm beginning with this question because for us to engage, we must ask ourselves, why do we need these kind of discussions, and why are they important to us as a region at this moment? One, we are saying that there is that growing need for alternative needs, particularly for the young people in terms of the job sector. So when we look at the challenges that we are encountering, when we look at the needs that the young people have in terms of livelihood, we are saying that there is that need for us to have an engagement that goes beyond the formal sector, because the formal sector do not provide adequate employment opportunities and address the current needs. For instance, in Kenya, when we look at statistics, the youth unemployment is quite high, and it's growing every day because of the number of graduates who are exiting universities and tertiary institutions. However, if we rely only on the formal employment, then we have a big challenge to cope up with the dynamics that are happening in the country and beyond. So this necessitates us for us to look at the global picture, but also what's happening in Africa and what's happening in our own various countries, to see how and then can we have alternative opportunities and strategies that can be able to provide the young people with opportunities that can create livelihoods for them. Let's move to the next slide, please. So in terms of these discussions, we look at the key drivers that necessitate us to look at this discussion, but also to think about having skills for young people beyond the formal sector. One, we are saying that there is that aspect of youth unemployment, which is a big crisis, not only in Kenya, but in the region, the eastern southern region. There is that aspect of crisis of unemployment among young people. So the formal sector is not really secure because there is that aspect of saturation. There is many people who are jobless. They are looking for jobs. They are looking for opportunities. The other aspect is the mismatch of job skilled and employment. Most of the institutions now and most of the young people are saying they are not well equipped. They are ill equipped because when they graduate, whatever they learn in the institutions are not market friendly. They are irrelevant. Some of the aspects that are missing in our institutions do not offer them the opportunity to competitively get the practical aspect to fit into the field. So that mismatch of job opportunities is there. And then there is the aspect of dominance of the informal sector, knowing that the informal sector carries the largest bit of our economy. Whether you are talking about Juakali sector, whether you are talking about traders in the informal market, online platform marketing, artisans, the informal sector is really dominated. And the highest dominations as we speak now are the youth, who are now exploring alternative options, including the use of ICT and digital marketing. Next. So innovation is a very strong potential for the youth. Youth are very adaptable. They are very entrepreneurial. They are digitally inclined, and there are so much emerging opportunities which are beyond the conventional sector. And this growing trend among the youth is calling us to look at how then can we diversify? How can we talk about even the youth out of school having the opportunities and the skills to really compete effectively? The economic and social resilience is also another aspect that is really calling us to an action that is youth-friendly and focused. Looking at the livelihood options that reduces the economic shocks among the young people and the society at large, we are saying that these emergencies cannot only rely on the formal sector. So that need for having a diversified opportunities for the young people is really instrumental. Sustainability and inclusion is another aspect where we are looking at the green economy, the growing freelance market where the young people are no longer looking at having a contractual or permanent employment and pensionable. They are looking at opportunities that can give them a mileage in life, but also enable them to shift from one area to another. And this is something that we need to look at even as we talk about adult education, because there are so many young people who are either because of circumstance are out of school. Some of them dropped out of school, but all of them are in the same field competing for the livelihood. So this aspect of sustainability is a calling that really reflects the realities that we live in and that we need to be attentive to. And then there is the alignment of global goals. Alignment with the global goals is another issue where we are looking at the SDGs. And in the SDGs, we are talking about sustainable development goals, decent work, quality education, and the education we are calling now
I can't hear Johnston. Johnston, I see you on mute.
Just on
Did you
the
mute
muted.
yourself?
Unmute.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Sorry for that. I don't know what happened. So investing in the young people is really a need that is aligned to the growing trend in the market. One is because of the technology, the innovation, and also the call in terms of sustainable development goals. When we talk about sustainable development goals and education, we are asking ourselves, what do we do with the young people who are out of schools? What do we do with the young people who dropped out of schools? What do we do with the young people who require soft skills to meet the market needs and also to have some kind of livelihood to earn? There are those who are already established in the families, but they need to create something for their own lives, but also with the dependents. So this discussion really emphasizes that urgent need for us to create a system of education that really focuses on the holistic needs in the society. And the formal education, as I've already indicated, is really limiting. And it's limiting because it has turned to be more theoretical, offering very minimal opportunities, particularly for the young people who do not have even resources to pursue the academic requirements to the highest level of education, that is the university or the tertiary institutions. So that leaves us with an opportunity now to explore the need for revamping our adult education to capture those who are out. They are yearning either to come back into the institutions to learn, to acquire certificate, to acquire diploma, but also to acquire soft skills, including literacy and numeracy that will be able to enable them to fit into the market. And then there is the aspect of the innovation and practical approaches that can benefit the youth. Among the young people we have worked with, there are certain skill sets, there are certain experiences that they have acquired. One of them, we are looking at the issue of entrepreneurship and micro enterprises. Youth are really being encouraged, but also some of them are outgoing and started up what we call the youth-led startup projects, which include agricultural ventures. Some of them are in beauty therapy, some of them are in arts and work, informal traders, and all of this is some of them because those who graduated and lacked job opportunities, they decided, I will not sit back and wait. I have to explore something that is beyond what I gained in the school, something that's beyond what I graduated in. And this is what is forcing them now to look at how do we then move into the informal sector to create a livelihood for ourselves. There is also a component of mentorship and entrepreneurship that is aligned, that young people are also exploring and seeking the support of mentors, those who are also in professional fields, those who are also in market and businesses, who can mentor them for them to start incubations and projects that they can be able to rely on. There's the skill development and vocational training. Currently in Kenya, and I know this is happening in most of the East African space, we are looking at now having institutions that offer more than what we are receiving in the universities. There are those who do not graduate or don't qualify to go into the universities. This is why we have the vocational training institutions. We have middle and low-level institutions where these young people can be able to get relevant market skill-based trainings that can help them to start their own initiatives. Apprenticeship and digital literacy is important, both in these TVET institutions and even in the adult learning space. There is the digital economy and the gig work, the freelance space, where young people who are working these days are looking at having a freelance space of working environment. When they want to work for 2 hours and be paid, that's enough for them for that day. Some of them are taking on multiple opportunities, both business and jobs. And this freelance is also calling us for now leveraging on digital literacy in terms of the adult education. There is the green and circular economy, where we are looking at the engagement in terms of smart and climate change issues, waste recycling, renewable energy, ecotourism, where it offers the space for the young people to explore both the aspects of culture, but also in terms of generating livelihoods for themselves. There is the creative and cultural industry, which is supported by art, music. We see there is a lot of movement and shift in the young people in terms of fashion, film, crafts. All these platforms are giving us a hint that we need to go beyond the formal sector thinking and expand the adult education to reach out even for those who are in the formal sector but did not really achieve their goals in life. And finally, there is aspect of policy and ecosystem which supports this. So as we discuss all the indicators and the aspects that align to adult education, we need to be asking ourselves, are the policies in our various countries in East and Southern Africa, are they policies that are friendly? Are they policies that are enabling environment where young people can thrive even without having completed their formal education? Are there policies that are gender sensitive, that are private public partnership sensitive? Are they inclusive policies that embrace the models that our realities are calling upon in terms of innovation, in terms of grassroots solutions, and in terms of digital literacy? These are the challenges that we face, and these are the challenges that the young people have already demonstrated that if we think beyond this and we open up the whole aspect and the stigma around adult education, then we'll be offering an opportunity for them, because adult education has been treated as an education option for those who are poor, for those who never performed in life, and for those who are really struggling. But adult education per se, when you look at all these dynamics, it's a calling that is really telling us that we need to open our doors, we need to open our thinking, our model of understanding and doing things to have a really wider solutions for the community. So I conclude this by saying that empowering youth with skills, resources, and enabling ecosystem is a key driver towards building a resilient and inclusive economy beyond the traditional employment pathways that we know, which is the formal jobs or the formal market, and which is aligned to the formal education. Thank you. I welcome questions and reactions.
Thank you, Johnston, for the wonderful presentation. I think we all have one question from Wangari Mwangi. You are warmly welcome.
Thank you, Joseph. Johnston, would you say your presentation is more about what should be done as compared to what is done currently? And would you perhaps give us some direction on what maybe so far you've noticed has been done to support your whole presentation, which was actually very thorough and very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Wangari. I respond to that. One is both. There is already initiatives and indicators of what has been done in terms of what the governments in East and Central Africans are doing, particularly with institutionalization of TVETs. But there is quite a lot that needs to be done. And much more is towards the thinking and trying to do what we call advocacy and publicity to change the attitude and the perceptions. That's where the problem lies. Because even if we look at the institutions that we are talking about that needs to leverage on these challenges and issues, such as TVETs and VTCs, vocational training institutions, there's the big attitude towards these kind of institutions are for the people who are not good in academics, people who are not able to transit to universities. But we need to then change that attitude, because the market dynamics now are calling for agility in terms of what we do and in terms of innovation and creativity, which is really already the young people are doing. So there's quite a lot when we discuss or we talk about adult education, we need to demystify the whole aspect of what is adult education in the first place. And that's where we need to begin from.
Thank you very much.
Duncan, you're welcome. Sure.
Thank you. Good afternoon from Nairobi, Kenya. So my name is Duncan. I'm from Sadiq Organization. My question will be more on limited to access to formal banking and credits to youth that we have in community. So my question is, because these youths, they don't have any collateral, nor they don't have any something that can help them to secure a loan to start up a business or support the existing business. So my question is, what are ways that can we work on to help these youths to access these formal banking or kind of credit to support and to finance their businesses, because now that's the only tools that they can really use to help them, as also the co-education, and they also need something they can do to support their family. Because I'm talking this in a sense of in Kenya we have some formal way that government introduced the issue of the Hustler Fund, maybe Youth Enterprise Fund, but still is a really challenge. So what are the best way, or what are other options that we can really tell these youths to capitalize when it comes to the access of credit?
Can I respond to that?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, with that question, I think there are several ways, and one of the best option I would think of in terms of a solution for the young people is for governments to begin to recognize and institutionalize what we call the informal sector markets. When we talk about the informal sector markets, whether you are running a salon, whether you are running a barber shop, or you are an artisan producing some furniture there, we need to recognize this as already existing business infrastructure that has a legal framework that can allow you to get into a collateral, whether it's a bank or a SACCO, to earn a loan. Because that is the big problem we have even in Kenya. The formal sector market, the women in the market, they are selling vegetables. The youth who are doing small ventures, whether it's online, whether it's in their small farms, they are not really recognized as contributors to the social economic bloc of the nation. And we have a huge percentage of Kenyan citizens and African people who are in this sector are not really recognized. So when the government is focusing on the issues of taxation, the issues of support system in terms of collateral, they always look at well-established macro businesses. But we are saying if we were to tap into the potential of the youth and their challenges in terms of having collateral, then we need to recognize where is this young person? Does he have any infrastructure, whether it's an online business? How well can we recognize this so that he can use it as a collateral? The other aspect is we have talked about partnership and mentorship. If we can have a system where we have mentors who can stand in for the young people as collateral representatives, then we'll be able to help them, because if I am a mentor to a young person, I take that responsibility to work with that young person. So I can stand in as a collateral person for this young person to help him acquire a certain level of support to kick or to take off. So those are some of the options that I would be able to provide.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome,
So
Bonfas.
my name is Bonfas from Radio Domas. Mine is not a question, but rather just a comment, and to thank Johnston for such an elaborate presentation, and of course also for the recognition that young people are already dominating the informal sector. And I want to speak to one point within his presentation about the creative and cultural industries, issues around music, art, fashion, film, and crafts. I believe that these are sectors that equally provide alternative pathways for young people to also create livelihoods and, in fact, also express their identities as well as preserve culture. These industries, I also believe that they are not only about hobbies, but if you also scan the entire ecosystem globally, you'll find that this industry contributes millions or billions to the sector. And therefore, when youth are equipped with these skills in creativity, innovation, and even in marketing, they can be able to access local and international markets, and therefore also turn their passion into sustainable income streams. And as we are witnessing currently in Kenya, Kenya's creative economy, we have people who are using the social media platforms as means to generate income through monetization. But then we should also extend these efforts to ensuring that we provide spaces for young people to be able to showcase and sell their work, be both physically and also online, so that we can be able to close the gap between talent and income. And this is equally about enabling self-reliance, reducing the aspect of unemployment, and also fostering the aspect of innovation in our communities. And also in terms of also empowering the young people. There's this aspect that has not been really tapped into, the issue around recognition of prior learning. Since we have young people already dominating these informal sectors, they've been able to accumulate necessary skills that can be able to be certified in a way. And institutions, the qualifying authorities and institutions that are currently offering recognition of prior learning are really few in the country. And if we could invest in terms of now being able to move them down to even the grassroots within the TVETs at the grassroots, then this can enable young people to have these papers and be more confident in terms of using their skills within their communities. So I thank Johnson for bringing that up, and of course also the discussions in this space. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Boniface, for the contribution. Yes, I think we have another contribution or comment from Wangari here. Says, help HELD started giving loans for TVET institutions of late, which is something good in the right direction. And the people in there now think of how to help these graduates have somewhere to practice their skills, like the platinum, as well as establish relationship with financial institutions that can help give startup funds for businesses and related to their skills. So if there is someone from that particular institution, maybe can clarify or answer this, or if someone else can also add on upon this.
Hello. Maybe I can
Yes.
respond to that.
Okay.
The TVET students get loans for their studies, and in TVET, they are doing skills where they are able to come up with the products that they can market and sell. So maybe the only thing that we can say is that at their level, they should be handled by other financial institutions in order to have them make their products and sell. For us as ALE, we are really focusing on those who are not in those institutions. They are the ones we are taking care of because they are majority. But for these other ones, they should be living in those institutions when they are ready. But if it is a problem, then we should just look for how we can where they are going to practice. Thank you.
We did not hear that last part. Please, if there's any other questions or input, please feel free to share.
Has asked something to do with the IGA. IGA is income generating activities which are normally done in our adult learning centers. Thank you.
Mugeta, you are welcome as well.
Yeah, I'm Mulgita speaking from Bahar Dar University, Ethiopia. And I appreciate both presenters, and their presentation is quite informative. And I took important lessons that we can draw to ourselves. I have one question for the first presenter. Uh, Actually, it's relevant in our case, though the practice is still poor. In particular, especially the credit system by by the government institution is poor. It is not usually associated with this business skill training and financial literacy. So the support of the government is not as such, visible. So my issue here is my question: what's the support of the government and local administrators, some informal leaders in ensuring the skills in financial literacy are implemented in participants daily business? What are their role, the government role, the local administrators role, some informal leaders if they do have roles? Thank you.
Can I take that up? Hello?
Yes.
As Salome Terra and many of the participants you're seeing online are coming from government and
Okay.
NGOs. So we have a policy. If you looked at the legal framework I was giving, we have a policy for adult learning and education. 2010, it's yet to be reviewed, which gives us a leeway to work together with anyone who is able to support us to offer these skills. So we have also been undergoing a change in our education curriculum, and that moved from the 844 to CBE, and now adult education curriculum is being looked into. And I think when we'll be working on the curriculum and the policy, when we'll be reviewing them and coming up with the new ones, we need to have at least a policy that will allow us have these learners who are getting these financial literacy skills accredited. They are given certification at a certain level. Number two, we are also, in our call for support, you've seen us asking for partnerships so that we can come up with the best practices. We all agree that early all over the world is faced with challenges, and that's why Marrakech framework was talking about countries being asked to commit themselves. So it is something we are also grappling with. But what is important here, and I think the whole world or Africa, we need to move away from issues of certificates and see, can people get skills? Am I able, do I really need a certificate for me to run my business and be able to save my funds and have my family be stable? So can we at least look at skills instead of just looking at papers? But it's something that we'll explore and see, because in Kenya, papers were looked at like certificates are the ones that are employing people. But you see, I think skills are now coming in key, and if I can manage my finances well, then I'm good to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, David.
Sorry, yeah, I just want to say what Salome just said. I would completely agree with this. You know, it's governments tend to look for solutions that can reach a big group of people, one size fits all kind of solutions, and that's really hard when it comes to adult education because people want very different things. So to have one solution, it may work very well with one group and not work with another group. But it's true, people want to make a living, they want a better quality of life. You know, when you're a child, you learn a long time in school and you may use something in the future. But when you're an adult, you want to learn something in a short time, as quickly as possible, that you can put into use in a practical way quickly. And this is very true. So it's not the certificate that's getting people, you know, if there are jobs out there, but living, I think it's more correct to talk about making a living than actually getting a job per se. But it's true, you know, if somebody wants to go and learn by a formal route and get a qualification and a certificate and all of this, yeah, that's a right. And there should be, we should strive, or governments should strive to give those opportunities. But most people, they want to learn practical things quickly that can raise their quality of life. And I think that's the sustainability of it is questionable. It depends, but really, this is what people want, and this is what we should focus on, I think.
Thank you, David. So I see there was another question in the chat box from Nicholas. Nicholas says in Kenya, KUCCS is a possible reduction of placement fee from Kenyan shillings 1,500 to 500 shillings, providing an environment for more young people to access quality education and training. However, the increasing enrollment in TVET, which means there is a high influx of graduates to the job market, increasing the unemployment rates among the youth. What could be the solution to this possible upcoming challenge? If any of the presenter will wish to answer this question, or anyone before, I think also Ngali answered here. She said the major problem is with the access to better education in Kenya is that the education system isn't giving relevant skills for the job market. So, and the job market is very small in comparison to the graduates.
I think I'll take a look at both both questions. As I've said, and as we are all agreeing that Kenya, we had that look at life that it's papers that we need to work. And now that there are no more jobs to employ people, we are saying we can employ ourselves. And that's why we have gone to CB, even the TVET people. If you look at, they are doing CBET, that is competency-based education and training in the TVETs. And if you look also, the 844 used to churn out graduates and people who are looking for white-collar jobs. It is time now to move out of that and look for a skill. We even have a weekend academy in Kenya, whereby we even have graduates who have left from university coming back to that weekend academy to learn a skill to go and practice. What people need is to put food on the table. So no matter what happens, and why the TVETs are getting an influx is because now TVETs are concentrating on skills. If I can go to TVET and learn how to manufacture good soap and sell it in various supermarkets, I'm good to go. Wangare, we have moved out of the issue of talking about the education system in Kenya with job markets. Don't look at, can you get a skill? Get a skill that will put money in your pocket, not a certificate that will keep walking around looking for a job. And as the earlier, my earlier supporter said, one of the participants has said, people may want to go the formal way. If you need to go the formal way, that is fine. Just go to the formal school and then know how to move. But now what is key here is skills, that I have a skill that I can earn a living. So let us move out of thinking about being employed. Can we think about job creation? Can we think about innovation? What can you do? You can come up out of a very high education institution like a university with a certificate, and yet you cannot even practice. So let us look at things like job creation, skills, 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 skills. That's all I can say.
Maybe just to add on that, I think as I have indicated, we also need a lot of engagement with policymakers, especially now the county governments, to really support and provide space for conducive environment for the young people to innovate and be creative. I'll use an example of what we have in Nairobi as what we call the street photo studios. If you walk in Nairobi streets, you will see young people are full with their cameras, taking photos and selling them immediately. The street photo studios are generating income for the young people. And this is what needs to be happening across all sectors, whether it is in the agriculture, whether it is in music, art. We need those formalization of the informal sector where the young people can be able to explore and do what they need to do on spot without all those bureaucratic processes that require license, that require this and that. So in one way, we need to have that engagement to open up the thinking and the mind of our policymakers to have conducive policies that will support these initiatives.
I can see somebody talking about starting eagers and challenging and needing resources. I mean, I don't want people to look at eagers as a major big thing. People start with what you have. You identify the resources that you have in your locality. We keep on thinking of resources from major places, but yet you have resources. For example, the waste management in Kenya, there are those plastic bottles which are free everywhere when people have used. If you have a center that is faced with such problems and you have those plastic bottles, there is a place that these bottles are being collected, sold. You'll have raised income. You have learners who have chicken. They can bring eggs, and you start by selling eggs. And eager is something that you start small for these learners to start practicing business skills. And now they move out and go and open their own businesses. So let us not look at income generating activities, imagining that we'll be given loans or you'll be given money to go and do this. No, use the resources that you have at the ground. Start with what you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Wangari, welcome.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to agree with Madam Salome about actually just moving forward with the skills you have and not waiting for papers and going forward now to go look for a formal employment kind of thing. But the problem we are experiencing on the ground is that for most jobs, for even in those in the informal sector, you'll most probably come across people who will insist on you having the relevant papers. So maybe this is a call to maybe have some policies that would actually encourage the uptake of these skills and all these things that do not require you to have these papers. Because even in the comments, I've seen someone talking about illiterate people being in possession of in positions where they're the ones giving the tools and everything, of which I think then would need to redefine the word illiterate in this case, because there are people who do not have the papers, but they are very experienced in their environment and they're very experienced in their job. They have the skills, they have everything, but they do not have the papers. And in essence, in our country, in particular in Kenya, and I think in the whole of Africa, we have this thing where if you do not have papers to prove that you did go and study upon this thing, then you are still illiterate when it comes to this particular issue that you're talking about. Irrespective of how much experience you have, irrespective of how much skilled you are, but without the papers, then you still are regarded as illiterate and you're still regarded as somebody who cannot be engaged with. So maybe there's still some work to be done on that, on the not needing the papers, because yeah, we do have experienced people, we do have people with a lot of skills, but they're still limited as to how far they can go with the jobs they do, even in the informal sector, let alone the formal sector. Yeah, thank you.
I would like to ask Wangare if she knows about recognition of prior learning. And I believe she should be in a position to be knowing that recognition of prior learning is using people's skills. They have skills and they don't need papers. Where you need papers now, we are now trying to have something known as attitude change. And that's what I'm telling people. And I think one of the things, MOJA Africa, if you can allow me, we need now to come up with a curriculum on attitude change so that we make these Kenyans and other people around the world to know that it is not papers that work. It is you. Wangare, what can you do minus the job that you're doing right now? Because the job you're doing right now employed you because you have a degree. And I believe you are one of my instructors who joined Nairobi recently. If today you are told you are removing your papers, who is Wangare? If we start from there and ask people, today everybody, Salome Terra, your papers have been removed. The job you do at Nyayo is removed. Who are you? Salome Terra will go and cook donuts on the road and sell. Have I put food on the table? I'll use the skills I've learned to make money. So we need attitude change from papers to skills. That's what I repeat. Thank you very much.
Just
Madam,
to add on that, just a
little
comment.
bit, a little
Okay.
bit. Madam, I think we are speaking in the same light. We are in agreement that we don't need an attitude change. Yes, we have all these. I am aware of you can go without papers. What I'm also speaking about and agreeing with you is that we do need an attitude change where people have to ask for papers to show that you do have the skill that is required. So I think that is just something I wanted to make clear, that we're in agreement when it comes to the attitude change.
Yeah, just to add to that conversation, I think what needs to be done at the level of adult education also is to harmonize, as we are speaking about policies. Right now, because of that challenge of focusing on academics and not practical aspect, we see now we have a curriculum change in the competence-based education. But there are gaps also in the same system when it comes to adults. One of the challenges that we've been raising with the policymakers is the pathway for the adult learners, which is not in the two pathways that our two sections that have been provided for in the competence-based education. So there's that need for us to revamp the policy framework to ensure that the adult pathway is also found there. And this now will be able to address and align itself with all the discussion we are talking about here, whether you have skills and you only require certification for recognition, then you will go through the right process to get certification for recognition. But as we speak, we are talking about CBC or CBE, competence-based education. If you are 15 years, and especially now for the young people who dropped out of school because of circumstantial issues, they cannot be able to come back and rejoin where they dropped. Or somebody has worked for 20 years, he has a lot of experience, and he requires certificate. In the current 844 system, which we are winding up, this person could go through accelerated learning and sit for exam and acquire certificate for Form 4 or Class 8. But now, as we speak with the curriculum we have, there are no examinations that will prompt you to say, I want to come back and study for 1 year and get a Class 8 or a Form 4 certificate. It's an assessment, progressive assessment that evaluates your performance, your skills, your passions. And this is what we want also for the adult learners. That yes, this is an adult who wants to come into getting the basics, literacy, numeracy, but also you want to affirm the skills that he has to get certain level of recognition. So we need to have that conversation on policy level where we are saying how then best or how can we work with this to make sure that all these adults who require papers are not left out. All those who do not require papers or require only soft skills to move on are able to be given that opportunity. It's a conversation that is required in adult education.
Just a question to Madam Salome. On the issue of RPL, it is indeed something that is very important, and many young people are really jamming towards it, and those, of course, who already have skills. But then there's really low awareness on the existence of RPL. And this is stemming from a practical campaign that we did between the month of May and July with the support from colleges and institutes Canada under the Young Kenya Works. And the project was done in Nairobi County, as well as in Siaya County. And from the reactions that we got from the community members who are listening to our radios, is that they don't understand the whole architect of RPL. I just want to ask if you are in a position to also maybe let us know what are some of the steps that have been put in place to ensure that people are aware of RPL. Because, for example, in area that I am operating in, there are these guys who are called kamageras, or drivers who really, they have not been certified or licensed to drive, or they've not gone to driving schools, but they've been operating on these roads for maybe 10 years. But you see, they cannot be able to now get into these jobs officially because that level of certification has not been achieved. And they are not aware that there is a process that they might go through and be certified through RPL, and now they can go on doing their businesses without fear.
You want me to respond on that? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
please continue.
Concerning RPL, it is true that when it started off, very many people did not know about it. And right now, CDAC is in the process of handling RPL. And as our curriculum in adult learning and education is ongoing, those are some of the aspects that we have captured. It is slow, but we are going to get there. So give us at least up to next year, because we moved into a new ministry, which is Ministry of Labor and Social Protection. We know that will be handled, and with patience, we'll all get there, because we had been left out of the CB, as Mr. Sishanya has said, and there are deliberations with various stakeholders on handling all this. So just be patient. Recognition of prior learning is coming on board soon.
Okay, thank you, Salome. There's also another question in the chat from Ivo. Says, it sounds as if Kenya has a job crisis in the perhaps hotel labor market, and where certification serves as a screening mechanism to jobs. If that is so, what are the alternatives that have been explored in Kenya? Also, how can skills be connected more deeply with building community economies?
I choose to remain silent on issues about jobs in Kenya, because that is not my line. And I still take you back to what I said. Get a skill, get money in your pocket, and move on. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. And I see another input in the chat from Elizabeth. Say, my concern is we have so many adults and out of school youth in our communities in Kenya. Among them, they're living idle without any skills. Can we have our governments chipping in to advocate the importance of adult education in all forums, as just as in any other educational forums? I think this is more of an input. Yes, David, welcome.
Thank you. We are aware of the many youths who are out of school, And the issue has been we have a shortage of instructors, and everybody will agree that adult learning and education has not gotten what the publicity it required. And that's why I've talked about publicity. If you look at what we are asking in many of our requests is publicity, so that people to know what is adult learning and education. And I'm glad now they are learning that it is not just numeracy and literacy alone. It is beyond that. And so Elizabeth, Peter, if you are in Kenya, visit your county headquarters. We have county directors of adult education. You will be told where those youths can go. In Nairobi, come to Nyayo House. We'll tell you where our youths can go and learn. Thank you.
Just to firm up on that, I think as we continue with this conversation, there is that call now for us to look at a multi-stakeholder approach, where we are saying it's the conversation is also opening up opportunities for the young people. So this could be also an opportunity for young people who have gone to school and they don't have anything to do, to form kind of networks that can also be able to champion some of these issues that we are saying in terms of recognition of prior learning, creating awareness and advocacy around adult education. You know, it becomes a campaign, and when you get support, or you get some people who are willing to support you, it becomes a source of livelihood. So we look at it as an opportunity, a challenge. Yes, there is no much awareness, but also as an opportunity, which young people can also form groups, use social media to campaign and push the campaigns that, yes, we are sending these messages. We want people to know there is this opportunity. If you have this skill, you can be able to apply for recognition of prior learning. Or we want to go into the community and do community caravans, radio community talk shows about the issues of adult and education. These are the opportunities we are talking about, so that we are not saying, yes, there is no publicity, there is no information about it. What are we doing? How can we leverage on that as a potential opportunity for those who want to create jobs for themselves? Partnerships comes from there. So that if we are looking for somebody to partner and we want to amplify the voices, we want to do publicity, it is an opportunity for the very young people we are saying they are out of market that can be able to do this.
Thank you, Johnston. David, I can see you have raised your hand. Welcome.
Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, it's very interesting listening to everybody, and it's good because I think all of us, if not maybe, are on the same page, and we see what's needed, and the comments from people are very encouraging in that respect. But on the subject of recognition of prior learning, historically it has been about equivalency. It's about, I take into account what you already know, even though you don't have a certificate. And now that's, so you're equivalent to a grade 5 or a grade 6 or a grade 7 or what it may be. And I really think this is the wrong way of thinking about it. We the example of one gentleman who said somebody's been driving for many years but can't get a job, for example, if they don't have the right papers or certificates for that. It's somehow, valuing what people have at the community level and taking that into account, and not trying to fit them into a mold, whether it's an NGO or government or whatever, to fit them in where, oh, now you have some prior learning, I can fit you in here. Oh, you can be a grade 7. Now you can go on to get grade 8 in the formal system. And I really think this is a very limited way to think about recognition of prior learning. And I think those of us who want to do community projects, it's a matter of looking. It's like Salome mentioned about resources. We shouldn't look at resources as something that comes, somebody provides from outside, but communities have a lot of resources. And one of those resources is knowledge. And it's really, we need to look at it like that. I guarantee that if you live in the community, you're far more an expert on that community than I am, no matter what I know or what certificates I may have. But you live there every day and you know very, very well what is needed in your own community. So recognition of prior learning is about, yes, recognizing what's in knowledge is in the community, but what do we do with that knowledge then? And I think using it in a way that, historically where we've created equivalencies to something else is a little bit limited.
Yes, thank you, David, for more inputs on this matter. And I think there's more comments and other inputs in the chat, but as well as some resources have been shared. Please feel free to check in the chat. But in the meantime, while we are winding up, we'd like to welcome Dyson to give a bit intro and an overview of MOJA platform. Dyson.
Thank you, Joseph, and thank you to all of you. Once again, good afternoon to everyone. I'm Dyson Ntawanji from Malawi, working with DVV International. So this time I have brought in a presentation about MOJA. MOJA is a wing of DVV International work. It falls under African Continental Project. So the main aim of this presentation is to allow you to be familiar with this particular platform and how you can benefit from it in as far as adult learning and education is concerned. So in this presentation, I hope you can see the presentation. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, I can see it.
All right. Okay, yeah, sure. So in this presentation, we're going to learn more about MOJA, what are the origins of MOJA, and also how you can connect to this particular platform. So, as of now, MOJA is the first and the only digital platform in Africa for African adult educators to share their knowledge and the experience. That's what we have been doing at during this webinar, whereby we are sharing different knowledge about adult learning and education. So this is the MOJA brief, vision and the values. Talking about MOJA, this is a professional adult educators in Africa in the public sector, private sector, civil society, and academia. MOJA is also for managers, policy and decision makers, and anybody who has got interest in lifelong learning. That's why on this platform we bring different stakeholders talking about civil society organizations and also the working in non-government organizations. And also from the public sector. The MOJA collaboration and the resources to advance adult learning and education in Africa through articles. So webinars, exchanges, trainings, MOJA journal, and the MOJA journal for adult education. Just to put more emphasis on this, we have a platform in the form of website where different people contribute about success stories and also lessons in adult and learning and education sector. We have webinars like we are doing today, exchanges, trainings, and we also have a journal which carry different articles on a particular topic. I remember at one point we had the articles mainly about food security and sovereignty. So MOJA was founded because of the need for adult educators in Africa to have a forum where their collective insights, experiences, resources, and wisdom are pooled so that adult education and learning may be advanced on the continent. What does MOJA offer? So we have access to Africa-related adult learning and education information, including news and resources, insights, experience, and practices from across Africa. This is also a place to contribute your own experiences, receive feedback to learn from others. We also have profiles of adult learning and education organizations across Africa. For example, if you want to learn more about adult learning and education in Mozambique, you just click on the Africa map on the website, then you go straight to the information about Mozambique. Either you want information about Malawi, Tanzania, and other countries. At the moment, our main target is on the countries where DVV International has got offices. So the countries which I have mentioned, we have offices. For example, in Zambia, we don't have office. So as per this plan, when we go on the website, at the moment, you will not get the information about the Zambia. But maybe when we filling all the countries where we have offices, then we can also stretch our efforts to those countries where we don't have office. The aim is to make this platform be a source of information about adult learning and education in Africa, whether we have an office or not. So it's a step at a time. Now we are focusing on these countries where we are operating. So talking about the MOJA community, this one is for adult learning and education professionals and practitioners working in Africa to profile themselves and organizations, contribute and share insights, connect with others, and share news. Okay, talking about MOJA origins, where does MOJA come from? So for those who are coming from Swahili-speaking countries, they already know. So MOJA is the Swahili word which means one. So within the word, there's a sense of power of unity, togetherness, and solidarity. And MOJA is based on the experiences DVV International. MOJA is based on the experiences of DVV International. It's conceptualized, designed, and established jointly with DVV International's partner institutions across Africa. So this platform was launched in 2021 in English and French. In time, it is hoped that more languages will be added, growing its accessibility to all other educators across Africa. The good news is that apart from French and English, we have now stretched to Mozambique, which is Portuguese-speaking country. So if you visit this website, you see articles in Portuguese from Mozambique. So as we have said, the aim is to reach out to many languages across Africa so that it can benefit everyone across the continent. Okay, so you are now familiar with the MOJA, and it's now time for you to connect with this particular platform. So the MOJA is on www.mojaafrica.net. You may wish to write it down if it is your first time to come across this one. So when you click, you get there. Thank you. But before I close, let me try to open the website. Unfortunately, I'm failing to access that
Maybe
particular
that's
window. But
maybe that's all. Thank you. But I think maybe we'll send the link in the chat. Probably they can access it and see other all of the links. For example, they want to register and
yeah,
follow us. Yes.
yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So
they can
maybe
register
yeah.
and around it.
So for the sake of time, maybe we can just let them access for themselves and feel free to register and follow us in our social media channels. Yeah. So thank you, Dyson, for interesting presentation on MOJA. I think everyone is aware. Now I'd like to take an opportunity to thank our presenter, Salome and Johnston, for taking your time preparing this presentation, working with us from step one till today. So this was a very good initial step, and we like to thank you, each and every one of you, also to take participating in the discussion today. So as the way forward, because this is more of a, I think we sent already an email before to more of a casual, say, cross-country virtual conference. So it will be, we want this discussion to be ongoing, not to end today only from this webinar. So we'd like if you, for participants from Kenya, maybe you can also share your phone numbers to us so that we can create a WhatsApp group so that if there's other discussion, to be easier to reach out, to share resources, and to continue this momentum that we have gathered. And also the other webinars as well with another country from other regions. So it will be good for our two regions, the South Africa and the Eastern Africa region, to be together. So at least to have easy access, not just to send emails every time and then. We can just inform you of our latest updates in the WhatsApp group. So if you, it will be free. So you can just share your phone numbers. We can check it, and then we can use it for our next planning activities. So for each and every one of us, thank you, and yeah, have a good evening.